What we do here is go back. What we do here is go back.
And that possibly is working, hopefully, possibly. Oh yeah, Mike's unboxing. Just unfortunately, my pizza just arrived, so quickly threw that down my neck. Then realised that my microphone pack didn't seem to be working, which was, as per usual, an entire user error. I was using the smartphone lead rather than the DLSR lead to communicate the receiver to the camera itself. So yes, rookie error, do apologise. Hopefully I haven't kept you waiting too long. Yeah, probably longer than I would like to. Sorry, do apologise. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, do apologise for things on the desk as well. Obviously, having my tea late and still finishing a cup of tea. Also, got the new Mike's Unboxing travel mug, available from retail stores well, actually probably never. This is actually a gift from the kids for Christmas, so I appreciate that. Nice little flask. Thank you, Angel, and thank you, George, for that. Much appreciated. And Angel's in the chat as well, so please say hello to Angel, our little girl, who ain't so little no more. What else we got here? So obviously a bottle of Sol, mandatory, because it is a Saturday evening. Hopefully you're going to join me for a little snifter of something or other during the stream. And for those of you that are maybe not allowed to, then we have got some Coca-Cola Energy. This is pretty cool. We had two of these sent to us from the Send Me a Sample? Yeah, Send Me a Sample on the personal assistant, whose name will not be mentioned because I'll set it off. And I think we did this before Christmas actually. But they normally they just send one can through, but they actually sent two. This is actually pretty good stuff. high caffeine, contains guarana and B vitamins. So if you were to ask me, Mike, what does Coca-Cola Energy actually taste like? It's strangely very nice. It's got mixtures of cola, obviously, because it is a Coca-Cola drink. It's also got a slight hint of Red Bull to it as well, which I guess is the guarana. But it's also got, I would say, like a sherbet dib-dab. It's almost got that kind of sweet, kind of fruity taste to it. It's a really, really nice drink actually, and we're going to crack it open a little bit later, especially as I start flagging after eating half a pizza in about 3 minutes flat. Clearly that's going to go straight to my belly and I'm going to just pass out. So we may well be needing that. We'll see how things go. Hopefully you're all having a good evening tonight and you're all well, tucked up somewhere nice and warm. It's bloody freezing pretty much everywhere. I'm going to move my mic pack now that I'm pretty confident it's working and it seems to be okay. There, yes, I think that's all working. It seems to be working. We've got some figures showing on the screen. It says we've got 40 concurrent viewers, so that's all good. Yep, no one's complained about the volume yet, so yeah, happy with that. So tonight's stream is going to be primarily about buying and selling computer or PC components. Wow, that is really hard work for me tonight. It really, really is. So obviously, 2020 was a pretty sucky year as far as technology was concerned. There was lots of it, tons of it. More technology was brought to us on a silver platter that year than most other years put together. But sadly, human malware put a pretty big dent in a lot of things of the year. And that also affected things like productivity. So factories were closing down and basically the whole ecosystem around shipment, supply, demand, all that kind of stuff just completely fell apart. And we got to a point in probably October, November, where things really came to a head when we had the new graphics cards, new CPUs, and basically they were selling out in record times, really. It was just disappearing. Effectively, we all refer to it as a paper launch because basically on paper is about the only place you could actually read or see these devices. You could cut them out and print them out and stick them in your motherboard, but they wouldn't work very well. But essentially that was all the options we had. There was nothing else about. And the prices, because of demand, went absolutely insane. It wasn't that bad a time overall for everything. Intel still had their offerings available pretty much in plentiful supply because Intel had been the underdog for probably about 2 years now, really. It's kind of, they were up here, AMD were down here, they kind of slowly came together, then they went like that. And AMD ruled the roost, and they still do pretty much. But that meant that there's a lot of processors on the market which were available, although they weren't at particularly good prices. But as those that follow it historically, AMD realized they were onto a winner. They were trying to, I'm trying to think what the word is now. They're trying to please the market share, please the stockholders, the bean counters, all those people that we really don't take into consideration when we're buying stuff. AMD had to make sure the shareholders got their little slice of the pie. It's not often that AMD is in a position where they can actually turn around to the shareholders and say, look, we've done really well this year, check it out, and actually get a dividend from it. So all those people that had backed AMD over the last 10 years when they were basically falling apart at the seams, it was their payback time. And obviously, as part of that, obviously, I don't know this for sure, but it's a relatively fair bet to say that they were hedging their bets on the 5000 series, the IPC improvements. They knew they could charge more for it and potentially, obviously, make more money to then give back to the investors. That's how businesses work, or at least for the most part. So when stocks dried up and prices ramped up, where does that leave us? We are in a position now where, as PC enthusiasts, if you want to buy a PC, it's pretty darn difficult to do. Any of you out there that are watching, if you've been to a local retail store, if you're lucky enough to be allowed out of your house, or if you've shopped online at any of the major outlets, Newegg, Amazon, Best Buy, I guess there's other American ones as well. In the UK, we've got, well, I was going to say PC World, but I don't really class them in that category. But we've certainly got things like Scan, we've got eBuyer, CCL, AWDIT, various others, which are pretty much where most of us in the UK end up going to when we want our PC components. Now, if you do know of any other places on the market, especially in the UK or even around the world, let us know in the comments section, and make sure you put it in the comments section when this video is live, or if you want to, you can do it now. Just post a link to anywhere which you know has actually got good stocks or has got good pricing. It's going to really help out all of us potential buyers. And sorry,
They'll have to code it because they can't put links in.
They'll have to code it.
Yeah, they'll have to like leave out the @ sign or type in @
Oh, what, in the comments section?
Yeah, because it won't let you do links.
Ah, right, yeah. Make sure you code it a little bit in the links, oh sorry, in the comments, so it doesn't get kind of obliterated, but you know what it is, like www dot spelt DOT, that kind of thing. So just to disguise it a little bit so people can see. But ideally just put a name there, that's absolutely fine. Because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to watch this and they're thinking, I really want to build a PC right now. Maybe you've had a stimulus check if you're in the States, here in the UK if you're on furlough and you're being paid, and potentially you've got a little bit of money from Christmas that you've been gifted or whatever. Maybe you've got some Amazon gift cards or gift vouchers, that kind of thing, and you're thinking maybe I should build a PC. It's really, really hard, really hard. Now, for me personally, I've been really looking forward to putting together an Intel system. I say really looking forward to, I kind of mean I'm hesitant but interested. Ideally, I would like to get my hands on a 10100 and also a relatively inexpensive motherboard. But even that at the moment does seem to be proving problematic. CPU-wise, not too many issues. We can pick those up for around like £75, which I think is actually an excellent price for that level of processor. It certainly does compete well with AMD's offerings like the 3100, which at the moment is in excess of £100, which kind of being almost a quarter more expensive, you don't really get a great deal for your money, apart from possibly a little bit more flexibility when it comes to overclocking, memory speeds, those kinds of things, which for some people may be important, but realistically, if you're a gamer, it's not going to have a huge impact, not as much as what a graphics card would. So certainly those are the options available. And if you know of any other chips, personally, one of my kind of new favorites is the 3500X. Here in the UK and pretty much in the US as well, we don't really see it anywhere at all, especially in retail. But in other markets around the world, the 3500 is super popular and it sells extremely well. And recently, due to a couple of users on our Discord, Mark MC for one, who buys these quite frequently, posted a link for me for AliExpress, and I put my money where my mouth is, so I put an order in with someone on AliExpress. Don't know who they are, but if you want to know, then obviously I'll try and put some links, or you can reach out on Discord and I'll post it there as well. It hasn't arrived yet, so I've paid the equivalent of $105, which I guess equates to about £81–82 here in the UK. And that's including shipping as well. Now the shipping could take anywhere up to around about January the 17th, they're saying. And I ordered this, I think, pretty much over the last day of last year, maybe the very, very beginning of this year, possibly even New Year's Day. I don't recall. Kath's going to look up the invoice now to find out.
It was the end of last year.
Is it the 31st or the 30th? It was very, very close to the end of the year. So basically they say it should be within about 14 to 17 days, which for some people may be a little bit of a stretch too far. But certainly if you're willing to wait a little while and potentially save some money, if it turns up, then AliExpress is actually a very, very good option. And for those of you that haven't been there before, it is a kind of like the Wild West. There are good sellers and there are bad sellers, much like there are pretty much everywhere. So when you're buying from AliExpress, you're not technically buying from AliExpress, you're buying through AliExpress. It's a kind of a strange thought. Think of it like eBay, but kind of not used stuff. Or I suppose you can get used stuff. It's a weird thing. So go over to AliExpress, check it out for yourselves. Do a search, just search for any component that you're after. So say for instance you're after a Ryzen 5 3600. Certainly type it into AliExpress and see what results you get. Now do pay very, very close attention to the details on the actual site, because quite often they can be a little bit misleading. Like I said, it is the Wild West there, so ideally if you can, use a link from a known supplier, which people have used before. That is super helpful. Obviously, for those of you that are new and not too sure, then again, please feel free to reach out to us on the Discord and I'm sure some of the guys there will give you links to sites that they've used and have success with previously. Yeah, so I think that is AliExpress is being one of those things. Kath says, I've got a...
You haven't said hello yet.
I haven't said hello. I did kind of say hello. I did. I haven't said hello to everybody. I probably won't be able to now. Let's have a look. So, I will say hello, because that is a bit rude. Oh God, there's tons. So, from what I can see from my live chat window here, which I'm sure there's more, but it always looks a little bit odd on here. Never quite understood why it does that. So we've got Kath, obviously, Ricardo's in the house, Mosine, Mark Proctor, Patrick LaBelle, Robert Francis, Angel. Angel says George, as if, yeah, George didn't have a great deal to do with the purchase of that, or the payment. Ugly Bob's in the house. Oletta says hello to Angel. Robin's in the house also. Rich York. Guido65 says good day all. The British Noob. I'm not sure what the British Noob says on there. I decised that Coke Energy. I'm not sure what that means. No idea. Ugly Bob says hints of cola. Arrogant bouquet of sherbet. It was quite an arrogant bouquet of sherbet. Yeah, I like that one. Motion says finally got your beer. Yes, definitely. So Robert Francis, Ricardo, Kenny D, Steve D, Misra, Rick York. I think I said that already. I lose track of this. Letter, blah, blah, blah. Steve D, Robert Francis, Patrick, yes. Stuart Cleary. James Miscellaneous says, whoa, is Mike on early? I was kind of early, but I was still late. That is mandatory. At least it does seem to be. Angry Doge is there. Steve Wright. Is that Steve Wright in the afternoon? That would be that would be impressive. We've had some porn stars on here before, but we've never had a Radio 1 DJ. Or Radio 2, as the case may be now. I think I'm pretty much caught up there. Matthew Day's in the house. Matthew makes a good point there, actually, for slightly older platforms as well. AliExpress can actually turn up trumps, especially for things like Xeons. Now, for those of you who watch Tech Yes City, you'll know that Xeons are a really good way to go. It is a little bit more problematic in some cases because you've got to play around with different motherboards in this slightly unknown territory, but certainly you can get some really, really cheap processors. Just do be careful because the motherboards ain't cheap. And for those of you who are wondering what hell's going on, that RGB light signifies we've had a super chat, and the super chat is from our good friend of the channel and the community, Ugly Bob, and he has put £5 in. He says, waiting for the pizza coma to set in. I'm trying not to stop speaking because I know as soon as I stop, that is going to be it. It'll be game over. I'm waiting for either the coma or the indigestion. One of them's going to come sooner or later, I'm sure of it. Now you may find, I'm not sure if it's aesthetically pleasing or not, but I've actually made some adjustments to the camera. I've taken some of the vibrancy out of the lens, so it's a slightly more muted colour now. So I don't know if it works for you guys or not. It looks a little bit different. It doesn't look as sharp in my opinion. And the colours do seem to be relatively accurate, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a hobo YouTuber. Ricardo says, I bought some things from AliExpress, the 8 to 16 CPU extension, a 10-pack PCI Express brackets, and an Oracle USB 3 PCI Express hub. Everything was fine. I certainly hope everything is going to be fine because I'd be really disappointed. For me, from AliExpress, I've bought things before. I bought the fans for the RX 580, which that was no problem. Yes, Kath?
Will we have to pay customs on that?
Don't know. Don't think so. Not sure. Yeah, that's a good question. Will I have to pay customs? I actually had a customs charge today from those swines at, was it FedEx? Yeah, it was FedEx. I got some stuff for review from FedEx, from Boya, which comes from China. So they sent it and it comes through as a review sample with a 0 value. So they put it down as like £10 or something like that. And then FedEx say your parcel needs import tax. It's like, well, I didn't buy it. It was a gift. And then they're like, and it was 13.5 kilos. So unless it's the heaviest microphone on the planet, there's no way on God's green earth that the shipment, even if it come on a pallet, it wouldn't be 13 kilos. 13 kilos is a lot of weight, let me tell you. So they're trying to charge me for 13 kilos worth of weight on their FedEx thing for something which was valued on the invoice, from what I could tell, as an approximate value of about $40. So that is $40 in pounds is about 27 pounds, 30 pounds for argument's sake. So they want me to pay 36 pounds in tax on something which has got the value of less than that.
But it was delivered back in December.
Yeah, it was delivered in December, but the exchange rates haven't gone that crazy since December.
But do we need to pay it? Because we've got it.
Yeah, I might just say, screw you hippies, I'm not having it. I do not respect your authority. Take your invoice and shove it where the sun don't shine. Anyway. Alexa says, I have a blue light filter on my monitor. Everything looks a little weird. That'll do it. Actually, this week I've been using quite a lot of my new monitor, which the review will be coming out next week, early-ish. The EQ monitor, or not EQ, sorry, electric. I shorten it to EQ because the first letter is E and the last letter is Q. So, like I'm ML, or Michael. Doesn't work, does it? Anyway, moving on.
What the hell? ML.
I have not even smoked any crack today. I swear, none.
Or ever.
Not even a little bit. Don't think I did anyway. Not that I can recall. So the EQ. Oh God, I did it again. Is it EQ? No, it's electric. The electric monitor. Jesus, this is getting hard work. Pizza coma is kicking in faster than my brain can cope with it. So I've got the monitor and I'm actually really pleased with it. I've managed to get the HDR10 feature working, and actually surprisingly, for a monitor which costs less than, I think it's £240 all in, for 32 inch, 165 Hz, HDR10 curved quad HD monitor, it is bloody good. I am very impressed, and I keep on looking over. I'm looking at Kaf's monitor now, which is my old AOC 32 inch, looking across at mine, and considering that's an IPS screen and that's a VA screen, that does look bloody good. It really, really does. And I noticed today, because Kath was trying to find the links for the video, and Amazon have put the price up to it, 380 quid. The Robin Basquets. Now, they don't set the prices, obviously, because it's sold by Appliances Direct, who are the main distributor for them in the UK. And on their website at the moment, it's like $299. So it has jumped back up to the regular price, but it does keep on jumping up and down all the time. So obviously keep an eye on it. So if you're looking for a 32-inch gaming monitor and you want you want VA, you want HDR10, you want curved, you want a little bit of RGB on the back, you want plenty of inputs, and actually surprisingly decent speakers. I was amazed how good the speakers are. They're only 3-watt speakers, but they do pack a punch. They're not massively off of the quality of the Creative Pebbles, bizarrely. I don't know how they've managed to do it, but it does sound pretty good. The one thing I don't like about it is that it is a little bit plasticky, but plastic is what houses the screen. The screen itself is absolutely fine, so I'm definitely cool with that. So if you're looking for, what's that, plastic?
Yeah, not a lot of edge, really.
No, the bezels are actually relatively minimal, and compared with Kaf's old monitor, which the bezels on Kaf's old monitor are literally an inch all round. Literally. Might even be more. Kaf?
As are 6 inches, apparently.
That's just over, yeah, that's about 6 inches. Give or take. Who's that? Someone said, Skystalker says, I prefer VA over IPS. I'm not even sure IPS can, can do HDR10.
1 1/4 inch.
So Kaf's monitor bezels on the old Acer, 1 1/4 inches of bezel. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Wow. And the new one's probably 3-4 mil, something like that. It's very, very discreet. So yeah, anyway, all that aside. So we've looked at processors a little bit. So essentially, processor-wise, it really comes down to what you want to do with your system. Because the big bone of contention is the motherboard. Now, obviously, if you're thinking Intel side of things, then realistically, you've got to be looking at B460 motherboards or higher. But even with that, you're still going to lose some of the features if you get a K-series processor. Also, you've got the issues with potential memory, not being able to overclock it, and obviously, effectively, the limitation of that is 2666, which, if you're buying modern RAM, which is mostly DDR3200 or 3600 or even 4000 megahertz RAM, it's kind of making that a bit pointless. So potentially there's some savings to be made there also. So if you are building a system and if it only tops out at 2666, then you can quite easily go onto Facebook Marketplace or eBay, all those kinds of places, and you can benefit from those people that have bought into the Ryzen hype train, because they are going to get the faster memory, because obviously faster memory helps. Not so much with Intel. So you can pick up people's older RAM, the 2400 stuff, the 2666, even some of the older 3000 stuff, for ridiculously cheap prices. And RAM prices in general are pretty low right now. Even Corsair, who are known to have ridiculously ass-clenchingly expensive RAM, now you can pick up actually relatively cheap. The Vengeance RGB at the moment, the 3600 stuff, you can pick up for about 80-90 quid for 16 gigs, which is a little bit over the top, but not totally out there. Whereas regular stuff, Corsair, LPX, you're looking at around about somewhere between 60 and 70 pounds. So not a massive jump. So potentially that is where you could actually recoup some of your costs. If you're thinking Intel long term and you're looking forward to the 11th gen, which could be pretty good, looking at some of the initial leaks already, potentially they could have a comeback on their hands, which would be nice to see. It's always good to have a bit of competition, but then you're going to be wanting to overclock it as well, potentially. So you're looking at a Z series board and then the price goes up. Z490 boards are not cheap in any way, shape or form. So that brings it down to the platform overall. So do you get a slightly cheaper Intel processor with a more expensive Intel board, or do you go with an expensive Intel processor, an AMD processor with a slightly cheaper AMD board, which will potentially do a lot more for a lot less? I.e., if you pick up, say, an older B450 board, even with a Ryzen 3000 or 5000 if it's supported, you can still overclock the bejesus out of it if you've got the ability, the cooling, and the time to do it, really. It's a very, very confusing thing. I did actually watch Steve from Hardware Unboxed today. He did a review of the 10400 against the 3600, and in gaming especially, it pretty much 4K and 1440p, you could barely tell the difference. In 1080p, in certain circumstances, in certain games, there was a very small gap. But even so, realistically, one of those things that you'd have to benchmark it to find the difference. So it is going to come down to where you're aiming yourself, processor-wise, and what motherboard you want, what features you need. Do you want tons of RGB? If you do, that potentially is going to take you another higher tier on Intel boards. For some reason, Intel boards, the lower end boards, they don't have addressable RGB. I would say Intel B460 boards are very much like what the AMD B450 boards were like a year, 2 years ago. So the lower end boards have got basically no RGB whatsoever, and until you start paying a little bit more, then you get even still limited RGB support. Now, I do get it, for a lot of you out there, RGB, you couldn't give a rat's ass. This whole thing could be in black and white for all you care. As long as you can enjoy your games or your productivity, you don't care about RGB. And that is totally fine. But on the flip side of that, there are also a lot of people who really, really do love their RGB. And from the amount of comments and questions we get on the Discord on a daily basis, how do I connect this up? Why are my lights all white? Why can't I get my lights to sync? Why do my fans not work? It is a big part of the industry. So you do have to give it some consideration, at least in my opinion. Why is it when there's too many choices, it's really difficult to actually make a choice? Something to think about there.
Kevin Holmes where he got his mic.
Kevin Holmes, where did you get your monitor? Kath's asking. I didn't even see the question, so I did not know what is going on. I'll have to scroll a little bit. Kevin Holmes, Kevin Holmes. Kevin Holmes, is he the guy who used to be in Emmerdale? Was on Dancing on Ice?
No idea.
No.
Don't watch Dancing on Ice. Not enough accidents to make it work.
Kevin Holmes says, I have an electric 32-inch, 144Hz IPS monitor. Paid £100 for it, brand new. Holy crap. That's a good price. Ugly Bob says, poor Kath, always getting the cast-offs. Yeah, because she destroys everything.
Am I passing it back to Angel?
And then it gets passed down to Angel or you guys on Discord after severe cleaning. Ricardo says, I'm waiting for AMD's announcements in CS. Maybe a Ryzen 5 5700 APU will show up, 8-core, 16 threads. Yeah, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, actually, because that is quite interesting. I did look at that a little bit earlier, which is pretty awesome. So I'll read through. James Miscellaneous says, beverage overload, first world problems. It is. Although, always worth having a lot of drinks on hand. You never know when the system's going to fail you. No. Always keep loads of Sol. Oh, that's actually gone to room temperature pretty quickly.
Do you want to have them?
Oh well, it'd be... Oh, I should have put it in.
No, in your glass.
I should have put it in there to keep it cool. See? Up here for thinking, down there for dancing.
Down where?
Down there for dancing. Point is my feet, obviously. So, yeah, we've discussed motherboards, we've discussed processors. RAM is kind of here and all there. Storage-wise is where you're pretty much golden. Realistically, at the moment, any form of storage you have your heart set on, so whether it's an NVMe, whether it's an SSD, whether it's a SSHD, or whether it is a good old clunking hard drive, you have got pretty much the choice of your lifetime. Because people can't build PCs or are putting off building PCs, there is an absolute glut of storage.
Like my trunk after Christmas.
So there are drives everywhere and the prices are coming down. Today I saw 1 terabyte drives for 31 quid, which over here is absolutely fine. 2 terabyte drives you can easily pick up for £45, which 2 terabytes is a pretty decent amount of storage. Now if you're looking at longer, larger storage, 4 terabyte drives these days you can pick up in and around the £75 mark, which again is still brilliant. And obviously, as you go, there is a certain point where you get diminishing returns. Up to about 8 terabytes, I think, is pretty much where your return on investment starts diminishing a little bit. But realistically, most people aren't going to go that much, unless you're potentially building some form of NAS. I am Brian Babam. Moving on. So, if you're building a NAS or you're actually thinking about buying a NAS, you come to the right place. Also, because I have just got another NAS sent to us from our friends over at Asus Store, which is a little bit different because it's got HDMI in it, and also it's got a ton of RAM in it, it's got a quad-core processor, and potentially you can actually run Windows 10 as a virtual machine on this device, but actually use it like a real machine. So because you've got HDMI, you can plug it into a monitor, such as the one I've got in front of me here, plug in a USB keyboard and mouse, and you're off to the races, which for a NAS brings up a lot of potentially very interesting situations, such as you could have it as a NAS, maybe in the living room, like we're probably going to do. So have it as a NAS with all your files and all your stuff and all your backed up. But if you want to actually watch some media or just use a Windows desktop, you can quite easily plug in your keyboard and mouse through the HDMI, plug into the TV, go into the Asus Store ADM as it's known, the kind of operating system, fire up your virtual machine, and you've got another Windows desktop in the family should you need it. Which for me, I think is absolutely brilliant. So I could potentially get rid of 2 or 3 machines from the front room, get rid of my standalone mini ITX machine, get rid of the NAS, and combine them two into just one unit, which I think is an amazing opportunity. So if you want to find out how that goes, don't forget to subscribe, and you can follow us along for that journey, which hopefully is going to be an interesting one for a lot of people. Me, certainly. So, RAM, storage. Cooling wise, I'm not going to go into CPU coolers because I think at the moment the CPU cooler market is ridiculous. There's just so much out there which ultimately doesn't really offer you that much advantage over any 120mm AI 120mm tower cooler. If you get a cooler, sorry James Miscellaneous, I will have to say the word cooler with a Q. If you get one of those, essentially, even if it costs you 14 quid, like the Snowman, which I've got on the way, another item from AliExpress, hopefully it arrives, or you spend maybe 70, 80 quid on a Noctua D15, although technically that isn't a 120mm, but you get where I'm coming from. There is, again, diminishing returns. If you're doing it on a performance per pound basis, the cheaper ones were going to win out, because obviously they do a lot more over the stock cooler than the higher priced ones. Say for example, something like the Corsair, the A500, at its original launch price of around about £80, was pretty awful and didn't really do much more than an Evo 212, which you could pick up for about £25. Hence why the price has been dropped dramatically. And actually, I'm one of these people, I don't like spending a lot of money unnecessarily, so to spend an absolute ton of money on a CPU cooler seems to be a little bit on the daft side. You're much better off buying a cheap cooler such as the Snowman or maybe Arctic Freezer 34, something lower end, and put the extra money you would have bought on the cooler by buying the next faster processor, which will have a faster clock speed. So any overclocking you were thinking of doing, you don't have to, because you can just buy a faster processor. Maybe that's just me. Some of you out there, I guess you love tinkering and you love to squeeze as much performance as you can out of these little chips, but each to their own, I suppose. Anyway, so the cooling, we're not going to go into in any great depth because, yeah, really, it doesn't matter. Cases are starting to look a little bit more expensive. I've been following the prices on some of the more popular cases. You've got the Fantex P400A, you've got the Lian 215, Corsair 465X, GameMax F15. All of them seem to be kind of plateauing around, but there's a slight increase as of the last month or so. So I don't know how that's going to pan out. There doesn't seem to be that many new case designs on the market. At least CES is coming out kind of now-ish. There's a lot of people, actually last week there was a few shows, next week there was a few shows as well. I think pretty much by the time the weekend's over, it is essentially done and dusted. There will be some more releases and videos and stuff, but essentially there hasn't been anything that has really come out and said, wow, this is new, this is exciting, gonna have to buy one of those. So we seem to be stuck in that kind of paradigm of mesh cooling wins, everything else is old-fashioned and doesn't deserve to be seen and should be kept firmly underneath your desk. So no changes in cases really, prices are pretty much the same, so yeah, good opportunity at the moment actually. Pick up a used case on something like Facebook Marketplace. I noticed recently there's things like the older NZXT, the S340, which is actually a pretty decent case. Covers most of the kind of building blocks of a PC. It's not got the best airflow on the front, but it's not entirely rubbish either, and you can pick those up for about £20 in the UK. So if you're looking to build a really, really cheap ass PC and you just want to put it into something which is functional and doesn't look half bad, something like the S340 is actually really worth a look. Yes, Kath?
Mark Proctor bought a first player, they're usually quite cheap, aren't they?
Yeah, first player is quite cheap stuff. Mark Proctor, I just bought a first player steampunk case. We have actually got a very similar case to that, to the steampunk, coming from our friends at Techware. They are actually sending us their new VXR case, which is kind of, it does borrow a lot of design elements from the Lian Li 111 XL, also from the steampunk case, and there's an Antec one as well, I think, as well. Who was the other one? There's another one that does one similar. Can't think. There's quite a few companies which have kind of taken slight liberties with that design and then kind of made it their own. So we will be having that coming up very soon. Hopefully it'll arrive Monday, Tuesday, but we'll see. I think that is it. Ricardo says, I've never seen a small PSU that Cooler Master presented in CS last year, pandemic stuff. Now, I don't know if I'm on my own here or whether, am I just being insane? SFX power supplies, why? Just why? It's really, I don't get it. SFX power supplies are ridiculously expensive. Like, ridiculous, almost to the point where they're double the price of their ATX counterparts. Now, I guess, yes, they've got to use better components because there's a smaller space. They're not always that high wattage. A lot of the SFX power supplies are like 400 watts, 450 watts, and still 50, 60 quid to go in a small case, which generally is going to be tailored towards potentially media center use, that kind of stuff. Mostly low power. So why would you, now this is aiming at Leanne Lee, talking of cases here. The 0111 Mini has opted to use an SFX power supply. So they've taken what is essentially a great case and bastardized it by putting an SFX power supply in there, which is going to cost you probably as much as the case, if not more. And that's if you just want a modest one, like a 600 or 650 watt. If you're going to put a decent graphics card in there, and a high-end processor, and a ton of fans, which is essentially what it's designed for, you're going to need pretty much a bigger power supply than SFX actually make right now. I think 850 is the most I've ever seen, and that was in excess of £250 for a power supply, which is a lot of money for a power supply. So why use SFX power supplies in a desktop style PC case? Makes no sense at all. Yes, it might be, what, that much thinner? Why bother? They were onto a winning format already. They could have just made it micro ATX. That would have made a lot more sense. Stick with the ATX power supply, make it fit a micro ATX motherboard. But instead, no, they just shrink it sideways and add more expense to the end user. And most of the other YouTubers that are reviewing it are jerking themselves off over it. Oh, this is great. It's nice to see this new thing. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You don't have to pay for power supplies. You don't have to pay for components half the time. That is why you like this. If you had to go out and spend your own if you had to go and spend your own money on this, then yeah, you probably wouldn't be quite as pleased and you probably wouldn't choose it. Get real. Anyway, there we go. Yes, not happy with that one. Paul says, have you personally tried premium CD keys? I have many, many times, as have pretty much most of the people that are in our Discord. I think probably one of the first people, other than myself, after I kind of introduced them, would have been our good friend of the channel, Skystalker, who was very complimentary, although he did have an issue with his first purchase where the key didn't work, and I'm pretty sure they sent him an additional one very, very quickly after, within a few minutes, if that.
No problems with it.
Yeah, and no issues activated, so. I'm not too sure how much premium CD keys are at the moment. I think they're still pretty cheap, like £4, something like that. Skystalker says premium CD keys works great, and that actually still gets me to this day. I love premium CD keys, I genuinely do, because not many people talk about them. You get all these other people, oh, you can get a Windows key for only £11, or you can get this Windows key for £15, or you can get this Windows key for £20. How much profit are they making on that? And why do other YouTubers, clearly at some point or other, when they're making their videos, they must do a search for budget CD keys, yet they still keep on pulling out all these expensive keys at the expense of you guys, rather than doing a bit of research and finding out where is good value to buy a CD key.
And we get 15% off, no 7.5%.
And yeah, if you use the discount code Mike's Unboxing, you get a further 7.5% off the price. Now, it's not a lot of a discount, I get it, but even so, even if you're buying one of those 15 quid or 10 quid keys and they give you 20% off, you're still paying a lot more than you need to. So wake up, guys, please. Don't spend more than you need to. Especially on a Lianli mini case. If Lianli ever wants to send me one, I will accept it. Let's just put that out there. I will accept it and I will review it. But I will be honest.
It's bang at the moment.
Oh, I think premium CD keys must have just crashed. Because Kath's just gone there and we've got a 404.
It was Mark told me.
Yeah, it looks like the link is down. What you can do, premium CD keys, they are actually on Facebook as well, which their messenger works. So if you've got any issues or you want to get a key, you can do it through there as well. Ugly Bob says Windows 10 professional key is €5. Jinx Business says Mike kicking FAQs like a knowledge base. I try. Kevin Holmes says, I found a site where you can get a CD key for under £1. They are there. I've gone onto eBay, I've done it myself. I bought Office 365 I bought. And it was lifetime license for, I think it was 99p. I was like, hey, what the hell? Let's give it a go. And it lasted for about 2 months. And then I had to uninstall it all after I'd set up my Outlook account, and then I had to reinstall it all and set up my Outlook account again. I was very, very pissed off. I've got 3 or 4 different email accounts, all with different SMTP settings and POP3 settings. That upsets me a great deal setting that up. It really, really does. Anyway, moving on. So, we've covered pretty much most of the components. Power supplies, we've kind of touched on a little bit. Power supplies are one, I generally take the unpopular view here of buying a slightly cheaper power supply. Now, I get it totally. If you're spending a lot of money on PC parts, then yes. If you want peace of mind, buy a more expensive branded power supply. But you are essentially not entirely guaranteed, but there is still a possibility, even with the top-end power supplies, that you're going to get a failure. Now, I know this because if you go to amazon.co.uk or amazon.com, obviously use our affiliate links if you can, check out power supplies and look at the reviews. Even for the high-end ones, your EVGAs, your Corsairs, Silverstone, any brand you can think of, look at the reviews. And there will always be 1 or 2 which have had a DOA or a power supply go wrong. It always happens. And it is going to happen. It's the nature of the thing. There is an AC to DC conversion going on. There's heat generated. There's moving parts such as fans, capacitors, mass-produced, etc., etc. Potentially things will go wrong. So don't think that by expending the most money you possibly can on a power supply, you're guaranteed for utmost reliability and longevity, because things do go wrong. Kath's got her hand up.
Stuart's asking any links for Office, you can get that on Premium, can't you?
Yes. Yeah, premium CD keys also do Microsoft Office, so if you want it, you can get it from there, Stuart.
And what's the difference between Windows 10 Pro and Pro OEM?
The OEM Pro, there's Pro and there's Pro OEM. Pro OEM is essentially a one-shot deal, so you install that if you're an OEM builder. Technically, it gets around some of the licensing issues. So an OEM is a system builder or system integrator. So if you've bought a motherboard, processor, etc., and you've put it into a machine and you've installed Windows, you are effectively an OEM because you've created a machine. If you're a retail person and you've bought a machine from someone who's built one, then in theory you should use the retail license, but no one ever does. So yeah, OEM license is basically an installer's license and is generally hardware linked to the actual components in the machine. If you change some of those components, you may find out that you need to reactivate your machine, which sometimes it will work absolutely fine, sometimes it just will not happen and you have to end up buying a new license key. Or alternatively, just leave it unactivated for about 2 weeks, and after a couple of updates, poof, magically, the watermark will disappear, just like magic. But if you don't want to wait, a couple of quid down at Premium CD Keys and you're back up and running again. So power supply, okay, so we talked about power supply. Personally, me, yeah, like I said, I'll go with the cheap-ass power supply. I've not had one fail magically or categorically or like proper popping. I haven't had that in a very long time. In fact, the last time I had a power supply actually go pop on me when I plugged it in was probably back in, when did I work at M Squared? 2006.
No, I think it's even before then. When did you move to Cardiff? That was 2007, wasn't it?
No, it was 11.
Oh, yeah, maybe then.
Yeah, around about 2005, 2006 was the last time that I had actually a power supply go pop on me. And that was, I think that was a CIT, one of their really, really cheap builder series, where basically, it was shockingly bad. I think the actual cost price into the company on those was like about £8. So did this. That was expected to happen at some point or other. But it wasn't all of them, and it was only one or two. And I used to always be very gingerly turning them on. So I'd get it all, plug it in the thing on the back, turn the switch, then I'd make sure that the actual kettle lead plugged into the main socket was a good few feet away and not directly in the firing line of the power supply. So I'd turn it on, and with the power supply being right over there, I'd click it just in case it did go pop. I used to really hate doing that. I used to get terrified.
That's why I shout bang.
That's why Kath shouts bang, yeah. I don't like electrical bangs. They really do scare me. So take that as you will. I am terrified of electrical power supplies going pop, yet I still buy slightly cheaper ones. Make of that what you will. That is my advice.
There's quite a few questions now.
Okay. So the final piece of this jigsaw, the one we don't want to really go there, but we're going to have to sooner or later, is the graphics card. That damn graphics card. Graphics cards at the moment are insanely expensive. Now there's two or more good ways of getting a bargain. One of which is to go to a shop, a second-hand shop, or some kind of place that sells second-hand goods. In the UK, we're really, really lucky. We've got somewhere like CEX, or SEX as it's known. You can go there. They do actually give a... No, that is the adverts even call it that. Yeah. They offer a 2-year warranty on all their purchases. So buying a second-hand graphics card is generally something where you'd be like, ooh, red flags. But if you've got a warranty with it, what can you say? 2-year warranty on a second-hand card. CEX are a little bit more expensive than you'll find in some second-hand places that don't offer a warranty, but that's your choice essentially. So that is a really good option for those in the UK. CEX, obviously in America, I'm not too sure what the deal is there. You've probably got a similar kind of thing.
Nothing available in CEX nowadays.
Is that St. Matthew Day? All right. So CEX are very limited. Another good place is Facebook Marketplace, because Facebook Marketplace, if you jump in quick enough and you actually have your notifications set for particular either stock codes or whatever, there's a lot of people out there at the moment that still don't realise that this PC shortage thing is going on. There really isn't. There's like people who are completely like, la la la, couldn't care less. And they've got this graphics card in a nice shiny box. They haven't used it for ages and they're like, oh, whatever, get rid of that. Chuck it on Facebook Marketplace, 20 quid for a graphics card. Grab it with both arms. Absolutely insane deals. So look out for people that sadly do not know what they've actually got. And you'll be surprised at how many there is out there. Now, some people are kind of quite kind-spirited and say, well, you're actually priced that a lot lower than it needs to be. Tell you what, let me give you X amount for it. That's entirely down to you and your own karma. Obviously, the less kind of affluent people might try and go for the bargain and pay with the karma points a little bit later down the line. Ricardo sent us a super chat, hence why the RGB light is on, for 10 million COPs. Thank you very much. Can I use Windows 10 Pro retail key in another computer? My FX 6300 died and couldn't deactivate it. Yeah, a Windows 10 Pro retail key generally will transfer. You may have to go through the Microsoft Product Activation Wizard, do that way. If you're not sure how to actually do that, because a lot of systems now, that option has been taken away. So maybe I might do that actually in a few days, a new video on how to actually do that, to get the telephone version of the Activation Wizard. Because if you try and just do the Activation Wizard and it tries to do it online, 9 times out of 10 it's going to fail, because it's just rigged and they're ass hats. They just want more money. But if you go through the telephone system, typing in your details and the serial numbers and all that kind of stuff, more times than not, that will activate. So I'll do I will do a tutorial on that in the next day or two.
She is annoying. Especially
for you, Ricardo. God bless you, Mary Poppins. James Miscellaneous says, I have the intellect of a goldfish that had chlorine tablet dropped into his sink. Mosine says it's pronounced Kex. Yeah, I think Mark Proctor disagrees, and I do. It is definitely sex. If you watch any of the adverts on YouTube in between stuff, it definitely says sex. 100%. And I know that because if you have subtitles on, it subtitles up as that as well. Anyway. Oh dear. Let's not go down that. Alexa says it's easier to transfer Windows 10 key if it's attached to your Microsoft account instead of a computer. That is very true. Although saying that, I've had a few of those which I've bought retail, actual proper really retail keys, and they've not transferred as I expected. So yeah, you never know. So back to the graphics card. So graphics card wise, yeah, one option is obviously take advantage of people that don't know what they've got, and that works obviously in any marketplace. It is mean-spirited, but not everyone is nice, unfortunately. So what is the next option? Now the next option is obviously a placeholder. If you can't get hold of the graphics card you want, and you're not prepared to pay the prices they are, which, hey, I totally understand because they are ridiculous. So the next option is a placeholder. So placeholders, what options actually are there which actually make sense? So one that you possibly may not have thought of, but actually is a really, really good alternative at the moment, are things like the GTX 780. The 780 is a fantastic little card, and much like the 980 which came after it, both of them actually do really, really well, especially in some of the modern titles. They are lacking in VRAM. The 980 normally looking around 4 gigs. The 780 quite often will be a 3 gig variant unless you go for the 2 gig version, but they do have quite a graphical grunt to them, especially in the processing area. Lower resolution screens, not going to be too much of a problem. Some games obviously you're going to have to turn down texture settings, but certainly as a placeholder, look at the prices now. GTX 780 you can pick up at extremely good prices. If you don't like going down the second-hand route, there is obviously alternatives like the GT 1030 or is it a GTX? Yeah, it's a GTX. It might be a GTX, it might be a GT. The 1030 2 gig card you can pick up here in the UK for around about £66–67 I think they were recently on Hot UK Deals, which is a site we often go to check out the latest prices. Again, it isn't going to be a fantastic experience. It is a very low-end card. I think it's only using GDDR5 at best. It isn't going to be the answer to your prayers, but certainly for a placeholder to go with the system, absolutely fine. It's going to fit in pretty much all builds. I'm pretty sure that the one that was linked on the site is actually a half-height card as well. So if you're building maybe a smaller system, or you're upgrading something like an old Dell Optiplex and you need a small half-height card, then the GT 1030 actually does fit a lot of options. And generally, weirdly, actually do seem to hold their value relatively well, much like the older GTX 750 Ti. 1050 Ti's are getting a little bit more pricey. The 750 Ti is also another potential winner. That one you get options for 2 gig or 4 gig versions. You will obviously pay a little bit more for the 4 gig version, but certainly maybe worth looking at. Okay, let us know what you think in the comments section. Jabant ones saying there about a GTX 670 4 gig. That is actually still a really good card. The GTX 670, the 770 again, just a step down from the 780. I think at that time, the 700 series, I went through the whole lot. I think I went 750, 760, 770, then eventually a 780. And I think that I didn't get the Ti. I was a bit gutted I didn't get that. I'd have the full set. And I think very similarly with the 660 series as well. 660 Ti as well is also still actually not that bad a choice if you can find one at the right price, obviously. Mason Beezer says hello. You spelled his name wrong. That's your own name. The youth for today. James Messina says, Mr. Dick Tapper at your service. Wow. Mike, is GTX 580 any good, says Mosin. Yeah, the 580. Normally with graphics cards, the first number is the family, then the second number is kind of like where it is in the range. So something, say for instance, like a 550 would be relatively low end, 530 would be entry level, 560 would be a slight upgrade, 570 an upgrade, 580 an upgrade, up to possibly a 590, depending on what, RX. So yeah, that would be the Radeon 500 series. So yeah, 590, top of the pile, 580 mainstream, 570 mainstream, 560 kind of entry level, maybe something you'd find inside of a pre-build, 550, same deal, 530, run for the hills. So yeah, I think you're getting the general idea. A placeholder is a really good place to be. Or alternatively, there's some of the other cards on the market which are slightly less popular. Some of the outgoing models, such as the RTX 2060, can still be picked up at a relatively good price, although it will still probably be much around the kind of original SSRP or manufacturer's retailing price. You probably still get an okay-ish deal on it. If you're looking at something a little bit higher up, maybe a 2070 Super, then definitely you're going to pay a lot more money. 2060 Super as well generally commands about £100 excess over the 2060. So if you can find a 2060 at a decent price, definitely worth looking at. We've seen a few around about the sort of £300 mark, which is not far off what they were when they actually released. So not a great deal, but certainly not a total rip-off. We would expect to see graphics cards at a time of demand around about their kind of normal retail pricing or their suggested retail pricing. Is when they go above the SSRP is when people start to get a little bit twitchy and feel like they're not getting a good deal. And certainly a lot of the cards now are £100, £150 over SSRP, which is, well, insane. Well, it's not insane. If you want it and you got the money, hell, pay for it, buy one. Use our affiliate links while you're in the process of doing it. But I think for most people, realistically, especially now in these kind of COVID times, we're looking to save a little bit of money potentially where we can, because you never know you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Kath's got her hand up.
Skystalker and Ugly Box 1650 Super.
1650 Super is actually a great card. That has started to go up in price a little bit recently. That was in and around the sort of 150 mark, and I think at the moment it's edging closer to 200. So I don't know. It's not a bad card, and to be completely honest with you, I have got one in this PC behind me, which is the, where is it? Oh, I haven't got the box out. The Zotac 1650 Super, the Mini, which actually has got a really annoying pitch to the fan, which does annoy me a little bit, but certainly does perform very well. Earlier on today, playing some Flight Sim 2020, runs really nice, plays Cyberpunk 2077 very easily. Things like Rocket League, CSGO, it's going to be an absolute walk in the park. And surprisingly, the 1650 Super does have a lot of oomph to it. Also, if you're potentially streaming and you're still waiting for your placeholder, it does support NVENC encoding, so you're still going to get the benefits of that. Generally, overall, NVIDIA cards do very, very well, especially for those kind of media creation things. Adobe Premiere is going to accelerate that a little bit as well. So, yeah, not a bad choice. With the caveat of the price not being overly extortionate. Yeah, 1650 Super is the perfect placeholder. I'm not too sure about it being perfect, if I'm completely honest with you. It depends greatly on the price. If it's around the 150 mark, I think that is going to be pretty much where you're looking. Well, yeah, 1650 Super is faster than the RX 580, and those generally tend to go for about the same sort of price now, about anywhere between 150 and 200. it is a bit of a mess. If you're not too sure if you're paying the right price, join our Discord. You can ask in our tech support questions. Actually, I should mention as well, we've also added a new room recently. Not only have we got our mental health room, so if you're having issues with the lockdown blues or relationships changing or whatever it is, you can join us in our members area there, and you can discuss your things in what is a very accommodating and very peaceful, tranquil environment with very, very few ups and downs. Just a nice bunch of chill people. So if you want to discuss anything which is bothering, you can do. But also we've added a politics room. So if you want to get something off your chest and you got some beef, or you're just frustrated and you want to speak to someone without getting censored or taken off of Twitter or YouTube, then feel free to join us on there. Obviously, if anything gets out of hand, it will be removed and deleted, as will the users. But yeah, within reason, you can state your piece and speak your mind, which is a rarity these days.
Stuart Cleary asked, what's a placeholder?
A placeholder. So a placeholder is essentially, right,
Something that'll do.
yeah, something that'll do. So say for instance, this is your PC. Your PC really wants a beer, or a graphics card in this particular case. It really has got its heart set on having some soul, but sadly, soul is literally out of reach. So we'll go for some cheapo cola, stick that in there instead, and that'll do until the soul comes back into reach. That is a very layman's way of describing it, but essentially that's what it is. So a placeholder is basically a mate do. So trying to think of it. You're going to a funeral, for instance, and you want a black tie and you haven't got one. You've got a dark blue one. Dark blue tie, perfect placeholder until you can get yourself a black tie. Does the same job, not exactly what you wanted. That is probably going to a funeral as well. It's got a little dark in here. Let's move on. Oh dear. Matthew Day says 1650 Super is probably close to a 1666 gig. I remember the 1663 gig has less cores as well as less RAM. Yeah, the 1060 was one of those cards which I never really liked for quite a few reasons at the time. The AMD cards, the equivalent of, were better and cheaper, and I didn't like the idea of the 1060 being only a 3 gig card. It just seemed a little bit too little. Effectively, the 1060, if you think of it numbering and power-wise, it actually wasn't too far off the old GTX 780 3 gig, which we discussed a little bit earlier. If you kind of bring the 80 down 2 levels from 70 to 60, and you take the family from the 700 to the 900 to the 10 series, it's kind of in there. And the 1060 at the time was a lot more money than the 780 was on the used market as well. But I have actually, I think I had, how many PCs did I think I had 2 PCs which had it in. I was sent one by Zotac, which was their QPC, 1060 3 gig. And I've got to be honest, I wasn't that impressed. Sorry, Zotac, but I wasn't. So,
Mason, you thought you had 1,000 subscribers.
did he? I probably will have by the time today's over. Great analogy. Skystalker says, roll politics. I can't even say it. Yeah, politics isn't for everyone, but sometimes it's frustrating, so it's good to talk. Get things off your chest rather than bottle them up. Skystalker says the 3 gig 1060 was an abomination. It just wasn't a good idea. It really wasn't, especially at a time when that card was aimed at people going from 1080p, maybe venturing, dipping their toes into 1440p territory, or games which were coming out then. We had things like Far Cry 5, I think, coming out. Other games which used a lot of textures, so only having 3 gigs in storage was not a really good idea. Steve D says, I'm not upgrading my GTX 1070 for a few months. I actually sold a GTX 1070 a few months back, which most of you probably know already. And that is one of the most regrettable mistakes I've made in recent times. The 1070 is a ass-kicking mofo of a card. It really is. And the EVGA, when I had the SC FTW Plus, was no exception. I love that card. It was great. I've regretted getting rid of that so much. And I didn't pay a massive amount for it. I think I got it from a graphic artist who had it in the machine, and they took the machine apart. So I paid like £200 for it. And at the time they were going for about $250. So I felt good about it. If I had it now, it'd still be worth probably $300. Ridiculous. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Bob. Another £3 and says, why is Peter Pan always flying? Because he never lands. Someone show Bob the door.
I got to show Angel the cat.
Oh dear.
Hello, Flamey.
So, Cali Wamain. No idea what that says.
Sorry, I missed that.
I'll call you Cali from now on if that's okay with you. Intel or AMD for a build during COVID. That's the thing. There isn't a right or a wrong answer as far as that is concerned. It comes down to a couple of things. What is available, how much you're prepared to pay over the odds, and what you're doing. If you're only doing gaming, Intel is probably going to have your back. If you're doing a bit of productivity, maybe a little bit of streaming and gaming, AMD might be the better way to go. But there's swings and roundabouts. Intel-wise, you're going to pay slightly less for the chip, potentially, on a kind of par for par basis, but then you're not going to get things like overclocking, precision boost overclock. You will get Intel's boost, I think it's boost 4, they're on at the moment, 4.0. So you are going to get a certain amount of higher threaded performance or higher frequency performance. Here's a tough one. It really is a tough one. There, you could go round and round in circles. You really could. Arclight says, Mike, thanks for the help on Discord earlier, man. No problem. That is, oh God. I can see your logo. It's the ROG logo, and I can't think of the name. I know you are. There's Daisy the cat.
Angel wants to see them.
We had another super chat, didn't we? From, oh God, there's loads of bloody. Tristan G's put a £2 super chat in as well. And Skystalker's put a £10 super chat. It says, 10 Canadian rupees to see Mike chug the beer. We don't do chugging in the United Kingdom. I'll have you know.
We dine it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We're not Americanized quite yet. It's getting there, not quite. Tristan G says, I'm running the RX 570 XT GPU. It is very satisfying, but in the sense that I know it is now my placeholder until I can get a 6800 XT for a decent price. Won't pay ×2. No, definitely. Callie says, is that a recommendation of the 1070? The 1070 is awesome. Yeah, 1070 is a great card. If you can pick one up for good money, 1070 is worth it. But they're still in that kind of, the 1070 and 1080 are very much of the kind of, they were really the cream of the crop when they came out, and they have been for a long time after. They're still really good performers. So you might find someone who's prepared to part with it for sensible money, but most of the time it's just scalping a-holes who are trying to rip you off, and don't let them do it. Oh God, Tristan G says, GPU wasteland at the moment. Don't spend too much weight, in my opinion. Yeah, if you don't have to build a PC, that's where I'm at the moment. I'd like to do the Intel build, I really would. But at the moment it seems, not disingenuous, that's probably the wrong word, but it just seems like I'm building it for the sake of doing it. And when there's loads of people out there that maybe either can't afford or can't get hold of the parts, it just feels really bad doing a build in front of people and saying, look at all these lovely shiny parts, happy days, you haven't got them. And that just really feels bad to me. And it's actually put a little bit of a downer on the channel as a whole, in my honest opinion. I don't feel the same amount of joy unboxing stuff when I know that there's people out there that could make really good use of the stuff. I probably shouldn't be thinking like that, but I kind of do. But I am going to make amends, and I am actually going to sell off anything that I've got here, which I'm not using, that if anybody wants, I will sell it to you at what I paid it for it months ago. So pre-inflation prices, they will be slightly COVIDian times, because obviously it's been all year. But if anybody wants anything, ping me on Discord is probably the best way, and we can sort something out. And I would like to see some of the stuff that I've got here, which I'm not using, actually be used by people, rather than just sat under the desk or somewhere. Yeah, we do believe in karma. So if we can do somebody a good turn somewhere along the lines, obviously I don't want to lose out altogether because I'm not made of money. We struggle as much as anyone else, but if anybody wants any parts that we're not using, then you can have them at the original prices I paid for them. Because I'm not looking to sculpt anyone, but if anyone can make use, then I would love you to be able to.
Explain Discord.
Explain Discord.
As in, click on the link.
Yeah, for
rules.
Oh God, yeah. If you join Discord, first thing you'll be greeted by, if you've got an account already, is the server. So then you go to the rules page. You'll have to look at the rules, read them, make sure you agree to them. If you do, there's a little thumbs up at the bottom, or a smiley face. I can't remember which it is now. There's basically an emoticon. It will have loads of numbers by it. And that shows you how many people have clicked on it previous to you. So click on that, and you can be like all those other cool people who have clicked and agreed to the rules. And the majority of them, actually, God bless you, most people have actually adhered to them. So thank you for that. There's been a few dickwads that we've had to kick out, but not too many. Patrick Lebel. Patrick, where did I see? I've seen Patrick's name somewhere else on YouTube. No, I've seen it on YouTube somewhere. And I've seen a comment in somewhere that I didn't expect, and I was thinking, I wonder if that's Patrick. It was on a news site, I think. Like there was a live news broadcast. Patrick, have you been onto a live web news thing on YouTube recently and put a comment in a live stream? If it is, it may well be you. There can't be more than one Patrick Lebel, can there? The one, the only. Patrick's comment in the super chat says, ordered the game controller you reviewed on December the 20th. Oh, noob, you've ruined it. You've moved the screen. Ordered the game controller you reviewed on December the 31st. Got it yesterday. Thanks for the hint. Hey, no worries. Hope you enjoy it. I've been playing a little bit more Rocket League recently. Now I've got my 165Hz screen. Games are at a different level. I used to always say, now I'll stand up now. I'll pledge my allegiance to the frames per second. I really enjoy playing games. And for me, 60Hz, 75Hz, I couldn't care less. When I was using my FreeSync screen, I had an enjoyable experience, don't get me wrong. But now playing on the 165Hz screen, and playing CSGO for quite a bit yesterday, and Rocket League for quite a bit as well, it helps. It definitely improves your gameplay. Now, I know a lot of people would be like, oh, it doesn't matter, anything over 60 FPS is cool, man. It is cool, don't get me wrong. CSGO yesterday, now I've been playing CSGO for many, many years, and I'm crap, I'm old, my reaction times suck. But yesterday, playing against the Ruskies on the CSGO server, within the first couple of rounds, I was getting like 1 or 2 kills a round, which for me is like unheard of. I'd quite happily go through an entire round, like 15 rounds, whatever it is, and probably get maybe 2 or 3 kills. And I had like 5 within the first couple of games. So there's a noticeable improvement in my gameplay on my faster screen with a higher refresh rate and lower milliseconds. Hello, Kath.
Hello.
You...
Can you put that on? Noob didn't work for Noob.
Noob's broken it. God damn it.
You got to push the button.
There you go, Noob, my boy. Ugly Bob says Discord is like an electronic zoo to keep all us animals in check. It's not too far off.
Angel was asking for more.
British Noob says, take my fiver that I was going to spend on plenty of fish. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience. Wow, I sounded like that dude from Red Tech Gaming or whatever his name is. Ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to do that again because that's probably offensive to anyone who watches this channel. If he's in here, fine. That's cool. Bring it on. Fight you. Nah, joking. If any of you young ladies out there are feeling a little bit lonely at the moment and you don't mind someone who watches way too much anime, then British Noob is actually looking for a lady friend at the moment, which obviously may involve other things after the friendship. Who knows? That is down to you guys to work out between yourselves. I am purely acting as an intermediary for the measly sum of £5 to introduce you to one of tens of girls that possibly watch this channel at some point or other. Actually, Aletta, what are you doing at the moment? No, that's not going to work. Anyway, if you are of the female variety,
He doesn't watch anime.
and you want to get involved with a male, such as our non-anime liking noob, actually genuinely he's a lovely guy, so in all seriousness, he's a top guy. He's 20...
Yeah.
20?
Yeah.
He's 20. Hey, that's a good guess. He's 20 years young,
Same age as Angel.
full of life and spunk, so if you want to hit him up on the Discord, feel free to do so. No, like the Australian spunk. Like, he's a spunky guy, not like that spunk.
They're calling you a pimp now.
I'm a digital pimp. Ah, dear. So, there we go.
No, we're
Ugly Bob says, Mike, the digital pimp. Oh, yes. Ricardo says, I'm happy at 75 hertz. No need to get a 140 hertz plus monitor. Skystalker says, Mike's Discord is blowing up. Is it? What did I do?
We all have to move.
Tristan G says, yes, 165 hertz with a 0.5 millisecond refresh is definitely better. A real improvement. Now, I'm actually... whoa, Mark Ekron says, AliExpress now adding on tax at the checkout stage. Be careful, folks.
Is that Brexit or anything?
Damn you, Brexit.
Noob's lights went on the end of Ugly Bob's.
Noobs? Oh, did they? Ah, sorry.
No, they just did.
Smacky says, what the hell did I just join? Who knows? This is digital pimping at its best. British Noob says, thank you, by the way, Mike. No problem. I'm not reading out what Ugly Bob said. If you want to know what Ugly Bob said, you're going to have to look in the chat and find out for yourself. Stuart Cleary sent us €10 and says, why does Noob like anime so much? Let's see. I don't think he does. He does actually get upset by anime, I believe. Hence why I said it. Captain Meat's Adventures. I'm not reading that out. There's instant demonetization for reading that out. Placeholder GPU, says Matthew Day, spotted a HD 7870 on Marketplace. 35 quid. That poor man's GTX 1050, but uses way more watts. Yeah, the HD 7870 is actually an awesome little card. That also came in a 2 gig and 3 gig variant, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and actually can double up as a heating unit for your house. So yeah, it will use a ton of electricity, but actually a pretty decent performer. Skystalker says Mike has triggered the community. Oh no, what did I do?
Noob saying, I'm not noob.
British Noob says, I would just like to announce I don't like anime. There we go. He does not like anime.
Would you like
But
to be Noob's girlfriend?
he's into, what's the other things which are like anime, but not?
Porn?
No, not porn, the other one. Thanks, demonetized. Manga? Is that a thing? Is that not anime? I don't know. Boomer. Oh dear lordy. Manga, yeah, manga, that's the thing. John Sullivan says, I like anime too. See, it's nothing to be scared of or frightened of. Hentai, I don't understand what that is either. I don't understand any of these modern concepts that you youngsters are going on about. I really don't. Mohammed says, is an LGA 1155 motherboard for 30 quid good? It depends. Potentially, yes. 30 quid for a motherboard, generally, regardless of whatever it is not bad. But 1155 is getting on a bit. Depends what processor you got. If you're building up a cheaper system, then yeah. If you need to buy a board, then 30 quid's fine. If you're starting afresh and you've not got a processor or anything, then I'd probably be looking elsewhere, like a cheaper AM4. Although, talking of AM4 and cheap stuff, we should really get back on track. Actually, I'm going to open up the... should we have the energy drink?
Can do. I've got your tin opener for beer.
Oh, yeah.
Even a bottle opener.
Ow.
Do you want to borrow my nails?
Unlike noob... Oh, ow.
Shall I do it?
Back. Yay! 4th time lucky. Or so.
Shouldn't bite your nails.
Now, should I use the Mike's unboxing glass, which says... Oh, I'm not going to read that. It's got my middle name on there. Oof.
Sorry, Angel.
So I'm going to use the this one. Actually, can we have some ice cubes in there, please?
Not in that one.
Why not?
Why can't you have
It's a cold thing, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, and it won't get the condensation on the side because it's insulated.
It's for tea and coffee, perhaps.
It's not for tea and coffee, it's for cold drinks as well. God damn it, woman. Get my drink. Ah, dear. Tristan G says, I'm not a youngster, I'm your older uncle, Mike. That's not creepy.
Too much?
No, yeah, a little bit.
I'll get my glass.
Get your glass and I'll put some ice in yours. I could take this outside the shops and go, spare some change for a GPU. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Tidy. Do you want some of this crap?
Yeah. Thank you.
I think that's enough. It has got a cheeky aroma to it, very reminiscent of...
Parma violets.
It's kind of Parma violets, and do you remember those elasticated necklaces you'd get with like those little sweets on? And you can get them on the wristbands as well.
Now, and bikinis.
Demonetized again. It tastes like those, like refreshers. Yeah, refreshers, that's what it is. It's like refreshers and cola cubes mixed together. It does taste good though, it really does. Ugly Bob, Mike, let's open the energy drink. Ugly Bob, work at 9 AM tomorrow. Have you slept last night, Mike? Probably not. ClickTech Kev says, surely your middle name is Unboxing. Wouldn't it be funny if I did that and actually got it done by Depot and actually got my name changed to Mike's Unboxing? I dare say my mum and my dad might be a smidge pissed.
Your mum wouldn't.
But maybe I could do... I was thinking if I changed my middle name to Unboxing, that'd be cool. But then I thought my initials would be Muck. That's not great. Mike's Unboxing surname. Muck. It'll be like that stuff you spray on motorbikes and mountain bikes to get the dirt off. Oh dear. Captain Mizovic says, Mike, you're such a diva. I can't help it. It's just me. I'm a typical Taurian. Poor YouTuber need to feed the family. Yeah. I've still got a piece of pizza there, which is... Some of you may get triggered by this, but... There's actual pineapple and ham on that pizza.
And you don't even like pineapple.
Pineapple should not really be on a pizza, but it actually makes sense.
You never used
Never used to like it, no. Ugly Pop says your wee wee will have a head on it at 3 AM. It probably will do. Click Tech says it would make a change from Tarquin. Oh dear. Stuart Cleary, there's always a few laughs in Mike's unboxing. It certainly is. The sort of things that go through my head that I just know I can't say out loud. That's why sometimes when I'm saying stuff, I kind of pause and I say something wrong because I'm trying to say the right words and not the words that are in my head because I know they're going to get me into trouble. Alexa says, "Can I tell? I can tell if I hung out on Discord, these guys I'd be blocked in 5 minutes." No, it's not like Twitter. It's very much not. Sky Silver likes the pineapple. That looks terrible. It does, to be honest with you. That is from, who's it from?
Domino's.
This is from Domino's, and that looks like crap. Mind you though, the base actually,
I think it's Domino's.
Not bad. It's not burnt, it's not soggy, it's quite crispy. Not bad, but it's very thin and it's a bit anemic, a bit bland. Not enough sauce on it, definitely not enough cheese on it. Needs more cheese right up to the edge. Like, I know there's a crust for a reason, but I don't really want crust, I want coverage. I probably won't eat that. Vominos. Good one. That Domino's arrived literally about 5 minutes before the stream started. So that was technically fresh about an hour ago-ish. They forgot the sauce. Yeah, they did. Rich York says, "Mike, can you open stuff that's not actually in a box?" Yeah, I think.
You open that can of Coke?
Yeah, I opened the can of Coke. That went in a box, although technically it did arrive in a box, so maybe. Stuart says, "That's sofa pizza from last week. How can you eat that?" says Gary. I know. It's terrible, terrible. Pizza for breakfast. Oh yeah. Ugly Bob says, "You want Mike's Unbagging channel?" I've actually got a logo that says that, Mike's Unbagging. I'm sure I have somewhere. So anyway, back to what we were discussing. So graphics card wise, I think we've kind of saturated the options there. Another option which actually some of you may consider, it's a little bit older again, is the 5770 and the 6770. It's only going to be a 2 gig card, but you can probably pick up one of those for about £20–25 on Facebook Marketplace. And yes, it's not going to be overly greatly performing, but it will definitely run some older titles, CSGO, Rocket League, those kinds of AAA games. It'll smash those out the park quite easily. The 7770, again, still part of that same family. Then you start going into the 7850, 7870. I would hesitate at the R9 level, because there's a weird reason for that. The R9 cards at the moment seem to be still carrying a weird premium, even though they don't really deserve it. So the R9 290, which is like a thermonuclear warhead, still goes for crazy, crazy money, and it's not absolutely brilliant. Sorry, Kath was laughing. I had to look at what she was laughing at. You guys are crazy. All right, take the beer away from Bob. It's really nice. I would like to drink it all the time, but I think with all the amount of caffeine that's in it, I think I'd be quite literally off of my breasts on a regular basis.
Sippy lid on.
No sippy lid.
Trainer lid.
Yeah, I put my sippy lid on. How the hell do you open this? Oh, turn it. I do it. This. Oh, there's a little lid and a big lid, and that's to let the air out, isn't it? So you don't get suction.
So you don't get supermodel cheeks. Like a Mackie D's milkshake.
That's quite handy when there's ice in there because it stops it coming out, smashing you in the face. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's much more advice I can give you. The obvious advice is, if you're not sure, ask someone. Because after you've done it, it's quite difficult to undo the mistake. If you're buying secondhand or used, definitely make sure that you use something safe to pay with. Don't just hand out a load of cash and get a box which could have a brick in it. Unless you're the size of giant haystacks or Jean-Claude Van Damme, and you're quite happy to box someone for your money back. If you're not that confrontational type, which most of us geeks aren't, use a safe payment option, PayPal, some form of escrow. That is the way forward. Don't hand over money unnecessarily. As much as I'd like to say, use cash to keep cash in circulation, because they're trying to take it away from us, it seems. But if you can, especially on things like that, try and use a safer method, because, yeah, essentially PayPal, if you use goods and services, there's a pretty strong chance if something goes wrong, you're going to get your money back. From a seller's point of view, it's a tough one, because you've got also taken into consideration your stuff is worth money. So most places, like if you're selling on eBay, basically you are taking your life in your own hands, because eBay pretty much always 100% will side with the buyer. That is just a thing. It's been like that for many years now. So if you're selling something which is high value and you're selling it on eBay, all the buyer's got to do is, if they're even a remotest type of a dick, all they got to do is say to eBay, didn't work, didn't receive it. And then the onus is on you to prove it. I know most of the people in here are probably not going to be in this category, but from a buyer's perspective, if you look at the seller's perspective as well, the seller's got a lot to lose here. They can basically lose their money in a flash very, very easily. So for a buyer's point of view, eBay is fantastic, because you've got all the protection you could ever want. You've got the safe payment options of PayPal, etc. And it's a pretty decent app. The search engine's really good. You can generally find most things you want. But from a seller's point of view, it's horrendous. You're much better off using something like Facebook Marketplace, and at least that way you can have a one-to-one with the buyer. Insist on cash if it's something high value and you know it works. You can obviously work out the details between you, so come around, check it out, see it working, all those kinds of things. You can totally do that. I personally, if I'm selling anything, I will much rather sell it to someone on Discord who I know, in which case if it goes wrong then I'll just give them the money or whatever. Or sell it on Facebook Marketplace, and then people can come around, check it out, see it, etc, etc. That way I know they're happy. Whenever I've been selling a PC previously, I've always insisted it's collection only, and for that reason they come in, see it working, get them to sign a receipt saying they bought it and it's working, sold as seen, etc. That way you covered and you know where you stand. So yeah, definitely top tips there. Also, as well, if you're a seller, make sure you note down serial numbers. If you've got no way of noting serial numbers, get one of those infrared pens or ultraviolet pens, whatever they are these days, and just write your postcode or something actually on the component, on a motherboard, on the back, you can write your name, those kinds of things. So if someone tries to do a fast one and comes back to you and says, I've got this motherboard off you, it don't work, you take it back, scan it with your UV light and say, well, I wrote on there that it is my name. Obviously take a picture of it before you do it as well, that's really useful. And just say, look, it's not on there, it's not mine.
But if it's a monitor, don't do like Angel.
Yeah, if it's a monitor or a TV screen, don't do what our daughter did and then use UV pen, slap bang center in the top of the bezel on the screen with the postcode, because every single angle in the room that I sit, I can see that writing to this very day.
Thanks to her school giving her
Thanks,
UV pen.
Angel's School. Bastards. Sparkell says, your tips rock, thank you. You're welcome. A lot of it is kind of common sense, but if you've not been in the position or you've not done it before, or maybe you've not been burnt before, then yeah, definitely these are things that are certainly worth considering. You will also find as well on eBay, people quite often, or not so much recently. Is that still cold on the inside? Yeah, it is. People used to always put on the advert saying, oh, bastards. People would put on there serial numbers marked or serial numbers recorded for tracking purposes, that kind of thing. So again, that is something you really should take account of. Many times before now, I've known people buy a motherboard or buy one, kill it, take it back to the shop and try and get a refund, or buy another one, then take that one back, say, oh, it's broken, blah, blah, blah. Take note of the serial numbers. It's really worth doing that. British Noob says, or just buy used from Mike. Always comes A-OK. And likewise, always buy things from Noob, because anything you buy from Noob comes wrapped in an absolute metric shit ton of toilet paper. So,
shouldn't use shit ton with that.
Yeah, shit ton's probably not the right phrase, but the last time we made a purchase from Mr. Newbie,
In lockdown 1, luckily.
in lockdown 1.0, when toilet paper was a scarcity, everything come wrapped in that. Yeah, and it was really good triple ply stuff. It was slightly scented as well. Well done, Noob's mum. Good purchases right there. Skystalker says, I would always buy used from someone I know unless it is from a reputable retailer. Definitely. Ugly Bob says it gets wrapped in unicorn paper. The unicorn paper that they print out the GPUs on. Callie says, first time in a PC environment. Oh, well, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. We quite often take the Mickey or take the piss out of each other.
ML.
Yeah.
Michael.
We do take the Michael quite frequently, but it's all done in love. Nothing but love. We disagree with each other and we say some things to each other, and there's some of us on the Intel side of the fence, there's some of us on the AMD side of the fence, there's some on the Nvidia side of the fence, but ultimately we're all part of PC master race, which is actually a pretty cool place to be. A pretty cool place to be these days, especially with the PS5 and the... Is it just me, or is anyone else disappointed in the PS5 and the new Xbox? I am so over them already, and I've not really even had one in front of me. But looking at the gameplay, the way that it does that weird DLSS stuff, and basically just limits to 720p whenever it feels like it, doesn't seem like a very polished product to me, especially for $500. Stuart Clary says, I hope it wasn't used as toilet paper. Yep. Yep, we did. Yeah, that toilet, literally from the moment that we unwrapped the motherboard from Noob, I went upstairs, or Kath went upstairs, I can't remember who.
You sent me up.
I sent Kath up probably, and I actually wrapped the toilet paper from the packaging back onto the existing roll. I advised Kath on how to do that. It was hey, why not? It was good. It was good toilet roll. Hey, you guys knew me. I'm a skinflint, so
It wasn't used toilet paper.
I'm not going to be paying for no triple ply quilted stuff. We're just talking. What's ours? What's our toilet paper? Is it Tesco's
I
own?
think it's Tesco's quality. No, what was it?
We're rocking Tesco's budget brand
It's
basically.
not budget.
It's not quite tracing paper,
Oh god.
and it's not
no.
quite quilted, but it's kind of somewhere in between.
It's 2-ply, not 3 like.
Yeah.
Boobs.
It's only twin ply, but it's not like finger through the whole middle stuff.
Oh.
Matthew Day says, I miss Cirrus Logic. Oh my days. Soaked in Joel's, late to the party again. Oh dear. British Noob says, I know someone who picked up the Series X and he said it's great, using it on his 4K TV. Okay. Smacky says, Mike's re-rolling. There's a YouTube channel. Poorly made sandpaper. Yes. Okay, so I think we've pretty much stretched out this this episode of Mike's Unboxing as far as we possibly can. Thank you to all of you that have contributed. Whilst I'm packing all this crap away, if you want to have a chat to us in the Discord, please feel free to do so. There is a Discord chat. It's probably going already. I don't know, I've got my computer turned off at the moment. But you're more than welcome. I think there's a limitation of, I think, 16 people at once. So if you can't get in, then obviously we'll try and change that depending on the numbers. But if you want to have a chat, a post-stream chat, and get to know some of the other Discord people, some of the guys and girls on here which are valued members of the community, feel free to join us there. For those of you that have joined us for the first time, thank you so much. It does make a big difference. We're trying to get to that 50k before our anniversary, which I think we're just going to be shy of. So not the end of the world. We've still done way in excess of what we expected. So
Our target was 40.
our target for the year, which is the end of the 21st of January, was originally supposed to be 40,000 subscribers. So we've completely obliterated that target, and hopefully we'll go on to do more like that in the coming year. But anyway, thank you to all that have super chatted. Thanks to anyone who's commented. Don't forget, the YouTube algorithm loves a like and it loves communication. So please feel free to leave some comments in the chat boxes. I do try and answer all of your comments in the chat. So if you have a genuine question, feel free to ask it. If for some reason you need a quick answer, the Discord is the place to get me. It's pretty much on from the hours I'm awake. So that's normally about midday UK time, so probably about 2-3 o'clock in the morning UK time. I'm slowly transitioning to US time, slowly but surely. I'll get there eventually. I'm gonna have to go through a few time zones first, but all part of the learning process. So thank you all so much. I hope you've had a good Saturday evening, and if you want to join us after, please feel free to do so. But in the meantime, as always, Kath says thank you as well, so thanks, Kath. Yeah, as always, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.